Today's video is all about Detroit Lions news and rumors for you folks today, and we're going to get into it on this Monday, June 23. Beautiful day outside. Let's get after it. And so we're going to get into it. And the Lions being urged to sign a quarterback. So we're going to talk about that said quarterback and what it means for the other quarterbacks on the roster. Mekhi Wingo, a player that no one talks about. Should we give him some love and talk about the situation in today? I do believe so. Why not? Lions defense, can it be dominant? Could it be dominant? Could it be a dominant defense? Well, we're going to get into that one. There's an article dropping and some questions happening towards training camp. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of the Detroit Lions, what I want you to do is go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Why is that? Because we drop Lions news every single day. Let's get after it. Oh, which player not talked about a lot in training camp that they should be talking about here? My guys over here from SI.com, you know how much I love those dudes. They're talking about Avonte Maddox being a player who was impressive during the off seasons, and it's true. He was impressive. He was the bigger guy that you're looking for. So that is a player that I think that the Lions most definitely is an underrated player right now that maybe potentially could make the roster that you wouldn't expect. So keep an eye on Avonte Maddox. Again, it was just OTAs. It's just minicamp. You got to wait till you see training camp, right? You got to wait. Not even that, but you got to wait for even, preseason games, even though he's a veteran. It's still, you got a lot to judge before we just make anything on there, regards who's going to be a sleeper or not and making the team. Another question here is which team has the best defense in the NFL? He says he believes the Minnesota Vikings currently have the best defense right now in the NFL. The Lions, they do. They got a really good defense over there in Minnesota. Chicago's got a decent defense, but Lions up there, if everything can come together, they could have a solid defense. Just need to not get injured that much. And that's going to bring me to my next question right there is, what rank do you believe the Lions defense could be in 2025 here? One, if you think they could be the best defense in the NFL, and, 32, if you think they're going to be butt cheeks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's an interesting article. It's talking about the new quarterback room, and the Detroit Lions are predicted to part away with Hendon Hooker. It says Goff is firmly established as Detroit's franchise quarterback, but in 2023, third-round pick Hendon Hooker didn't take a step forward in his sophomore year. The Lions also signed Kyle Allen, providing competition, but also has been a mixed bag when called upon, posting a 7-2 record as a starter at 82.3 passer rating over his 7 careers. He suggests that the Lions look to trading for Aidan O'Connell, Las Vegas Raiders. Aidan O'Connell's a 4th-round pick in 2023 by Josh McDaniels in the Raiders. His tenure has carried Antonio Pierce, and he's one hurt coach, ample opportunity to start a business. So he's talking about going ahead and making a trade for Aidan O'Connell, and I'm going to assume he's sending Hendon Hooker over there to the Raiders. Because he didn't really say, but obviously you'd be moving on, I guess, to a quarterback slip. I don't know anything about that. I still think that the Lions are going to try with Hendon Hooker. I do 100% believe so. But look, if he's not ready by training camp, because look, we did have Teddy Bridgewater, right, come in there. So if he's not ready by training camp, I think all our bets are off. They at that point. But I do believe it's going to be Hendon Hooker. And look, Aidan O'Connell actually probably does fit Detroit well. He seems like he's a Detroit-style quarterback, I guess. Super low-key. You're not hearing a lot. Like Jared Goff, right? You don't hear anything about him. You don't hear any controversy. Aidan O'Connell, you're not going to hear anything over there, except for he looks like Farva from Super Troopers, a skinny version. But in all honesty, we don't know what's going on with the quarterback position. I still think Hendon Hooker's the guy. I think he's going to be the one to win the job. Kyle Allen, to me, I never believed he had a chance to win this job. I believed he was going to be a placeholder. And I know when they signed him, they said, oh, he has every chance. He's got this and that. Let's keep it a buck. We invested a 3rd-round pick in Hendon Hooker. He is a better quarterback than Kyle Allen. It's, One has a potential to have a ceiling. The other one, their ceiling's the floor. We know what it's going to be. We've already invested in Hendon Hooker in regards to development, but he's still got time to develop. He's still got training camp, a lot of preseason. We got 4 preseason games. So it's given ample opportunity for him to snatch that job up. If not, Lions got to go in a different direction, right? Like you can give players so much time, like we've given Broderick Martin. I think he's done after this year, right? And if a player doesn't develop by now, after years with this coaching, I don't blame the coaching staff. I don't blame the general manager, unless it was something crazy like this guy has a terrible personality, but we all know that they vet that fairly well. So I just look at it as the player just didn't develop, right? It's the NFL, and sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. And that's just the way it is. But do you think that Hendon Hooker is going to be the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions this year? Y for yes and N for no. Mekhi Wingo to emerge in 2025. And I would love, this is the one player I think that nobody's talking about, including myself, so I can be in part of this. So I want to give SI.com here, John Macaroons, a little bit of love, because he's the one player that I don't even talk about. He got injured last year significantly early, a draft pick, later draft pick, someone that you can develop, a 6th rounder. But we wanted, with all the injuries, we wanted him to be on the field last year, and then he got dinged up. And so when you look at the development ranges of these players that we have gotten throughout the years, our development is always a positive aspect. It's generally speaking, unless we just talked about a Broderick Martin, right, or Colby Sorsdale that hasn't really developed. But generally speaking, all the players that we acquire, they do develop. And so we look at Mekhi Wingo upon this defensive line. We have Lee McNeil who's down. We had a lot of injuries. DJ Reader's a little bit older, so we do need to have Mekhi Wingo over there. And I tell you what, if he can emerge as a player at least to get better just each game, that's a big positive aspect. I'm not looking for anything big from Wingo. If he could be a rotational player, that's going to be a rotational win for the Lions. This is just another player that you can have on this defensive line that can rotate and give other folks a break. And so that's all we want to see from Wingo, at least from me, is somebody that, is going in the right direction in development. And it's, we can continue to replace players that we have because you continue to develop players after you draft them. If Wingo can do that, that's awesome. Then you can just add him in the mix, right? You can add him in the mix, and it's going to help the Lions' defensive line out in 2025 significantly. And that's what the Lions, they need. We need all the advantages that we can get at this moment. We definitely do, and that's #facts. Says reasons why the Lions defense could be dominant in 2025. Again, go ahead and read the article. It says, when you have good defensive line, you don't have to really rely on the secondary blitz so much, so bring the pressure. The writer says, if you can win the 4, then you have an opportunity up there and get to the point where Terry and Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. It works in a puzzle. Cornerbacks help by covering their complement. The defensive line has to bring pressure because that helps the defensive backs. That's the thing. You got to get pressure on the defensive line without always blitzing every single time. And we're going to get to graphics relatively soon. You notice I'm sitting down. Each day I'm sitting a little bit longer. Yay, this is the longest I've sit, so just FYI. Hopefully tomorrow, the next day, I'm going to start doing graphics again. But yes, it is getting better. Woo! Just wanted you to notice that I'm sitting down, but I'm not doing graphics yet because that takes a couple hours. To do graphics on here takes a couple hours. My back is not going to take a couple hours, so just FYI. But man, if the Lions defense could take that step up, if the Lions defense could be, say, a top 10 defense, and say the Lions off, it's a little bit slow off rip. For the 2025 NFL season, sometimes offense is slow like it was last year for Detroit. And obviously, that could really help the Lions out. Hold the fort down, maybe win a game that we didn't expect. And that could be the difference between a wild card spot or a seeding or something like that. So, look, if this defense really can step up, and I do believe in a lot of these players. I do believe in Levi. I believe in Levi. That he showed to me he's got grit. DJ Reader, if he can stay healthy, and he's a little bit older, once Aleem comes back, Hutch, all these guys, this defense is going to, if they could stay healthy, it could be really good. It can be really good. And if Davenport can stay healthy, and I don't believe that, it can stay good. How many wins do you have the Detroit Lions having this year? How many wins? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Lions being told to sign Carson Wentz in free agency. Again, we talked about the quarterback position in the beginning of this article, so we're going to go ahead or the beginning of this video, and we're going to finish it up. Talking about the Lions should sign Carson Wentz, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think this is a good idea. First off, I do not believe Carson Wentz is a grit, Dan Campbell type of guy. He seems more of a diva, at least specifically in his early years at the quarterback position. He's also injury prone. That does not sound like something that the Lions would be looking forward to. If they would like to get a quarterback, if they say they want to get a new one, just wait till the Browns release one of their quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett or something like that, right? Carson Wentz is just not – is he better than Kyle Allen? Yeah, but I'll take Hendon Hooker over Carson Wentz. I'm sorry. It's just Carson Wentz is past his prime. He's beat up, and I don't believe this would be the guy. Aidan O'Connell, to me, would be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. I don't really think that Carson Wentz in Detroit makes much of a sense in a marriage at all. I don't believe that's the route that the Lions are going to go, and we'll see, But Wentz, in my opinion, he can be on a practice squad of the Kansas City Chiefs, or if he wants to go to the Commanders again, maybe he wants to go to Philadelphia again. Who knows? Maybe he wants to go to the Canadian League. I don't know. Maybe he wants to try something else. I don't know. But Detroit just doesn't seem like that's the place where he's going to be. Folks, give me your thoughts in the comments about today's Lions news. Ready for training camp? Let's go. Yahoo. With that said, folks, adios.